In today's show, we're opening up the listener mailbag to answer questions like how you should handle your retirement contributions if you're fearing a recession, talk about the day that company paycheck no longer comes in and the fear of transitioning over to that retirement paycheck, and then last, whether or not you should plan your retirement on an inheritance. So stick around as you might find yourself in a similar position or utilize these answers to help you avoid mistakes in your pre-retirement planning or retirement.
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searns, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Welcome to the Retirement Show, all about your life, your money, and today we're going to talk about all about your questions. Folks, we're not only doing that here on the podcast, but we're also doing it on our YouTube channel. Some of our recent videos on the YouTube channel were 5 things to do when retiring within the next 5 years, whether or not to take Social Security, because is it running out? Should you take it now? When should you take it? What should you base those decisions on? And then how to potentially reduce your taxes if the majority of your money is in your IRAs and 401ks. Highly recommend check out our YouTube channel. The link will be in the show notes, but you can also go to YouTube and type in Searns Financial Group. That's SIERENS. Today we've got a great show for you. If you haven't listened before, I'm your host. My name's Scott Searns. My goal is to help you thrive in life, wealth, and retirement. And as I mentioned, today is all about your questions. Opening back up the listener mailbag, we've got some great questions today. You might find yourself in some similar situations to what these people are asking. Hopefully you can take home and use these strategies in your own home, your own situation. And maybe listening to some of these questions might help you avoid mistakes in your pre-retirement or retirement planning. So today's questions, we've got questions in regards to how you should be handling your retirement contributions if you're fearing a recession, retirement fears, that day that company paycheck will no longer come in, and then we'll wrap up with a question on whether or not you should plan your retirement based on an inheritance. So 3 great questions. As I mentioned, you might find yourself asking some similar questions or in the same mindset as some of these people, and hopefully today really helps you out. So let's just dive in. We're going to go to our first question here from Bruce. Bruce says, I fear a recession, so I might stop contributions to my 401k for a while. Is that a good idea? So again, Bruce says, hey, he fears a recession, might stop the contributions to my 401k. What do you think? Good idea or a bad idea? And I think a lot of people are thinking like Bruce. We're kind of in a very interesting economic situation. The market has been going up this year, but boy, there's been a lot of talk in the news. There's been a lot of talk or articles online in regards to a potential upcoming recession. So let's try to separate ourselves from all of that. However, what's really going through your mind here, Bruce? Is it fear of the recession, or is it fear that if you put your money into your 401k, you think that the market's going to go down in the event of the recession? So your mind is thinking, because you're hearing about recession, that if you put money in, that those contributions that you put in, that they're going to lose value. Well, that could potentially be true only if you were to take that money out like right away. And Bruce, if you've listened to any of our episodes before, any money, because you're right, the market can be volatile, meaning it can go up and it can go down. Now, any money that you might need within the next 3 years, because the market can go down, well, that money I would just keep safe. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to need this money for whatever it might be, or you're planning to retire in a year or 2 years or 3 years, then there is money that you're going to want to keep safe, or maybe just keeping it on the safe side of your portfolio. But Bruce, I'm assuming here, I'm going to make some assumptions that you're contributing to your 401k because this money is for retirement. And retirement money, most likely you could potentially need this to last you for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, or longer. And some other things to think about, like in 2008, when we had the recession, right? First off, the market was going down. Then they declared the recession. And as they declared the recession, guess what? The market was already on its way back up. So I want you to kind of take all of the headlines and the news articles and everything like that out of it. And I want you to think more from that strategic standpoint. First off, if you're going to need this money in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, well then have you carved enough off into the safer side of your portfolio? Or do you have it sitting in cash at the bank or somewhere safer that you can have access to the money that you might need within the next 1, 2, or 3 years? Then you have to think about the money that you're putting away into your 401k, these contributions that you're thinking about stopping. What is this money actually for? And if it's for retirement and you need it for 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you have to ask yourself, where will the market be in 10, 20, 30 years from now? And I'll just talk a little bit about history. History by no means says that's going to be the future results, but I think part of what we have to do is believe in our economy and believe in the production, the growth of our economy, that we're going to continue to grow. And so think about this. And this was sec.gov. If you want to see this actual chart, I'm going to link to it in the show notes today. January 2nd of 1990. Why did I bring 1990? Well, that's about 30 years ago, right? Just over 30 years ago. The value of the S&P 500. Now, just note, you cannot directly invest in the S&P 500. That's the 500 largest stocks in the United States. However, you can invest in indexes that replicate the S&P 500. So, just had to say that there. So, the value of the S&P 500 starting the year in 1990, 359.69. Okay? January 3rd, 2000, starting the year in 2000, 10 years later, the value was 1455.22, 4 times higher than where it was 10 years previously. Today, the value of the S&P 500 is over 4,400. So think about this. 1990, 359. 2000, 1455. Today, 4,400. That's a 12x. That's 12x over where it was in 1990. So when you're thinking about your money and you're thinking about stopping your contributions, again, where are those contributions for? Are they for today, tomorrow, within the next 1 year, 2 year? Or are they for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now? And remember, you'll have a retirement that might need to last that long. And so then where do you feel like the value of your investments will be in the future versus where they're at today? Bruce, there's a good old saying that it's not timing the market, it's time in the market that's more important than timing the market, because sometimes short-term emotions can really ruin long-term results. Bruce, I'm certain that you're not alone in your question there. A lot of people are hearing about, thinking about, wondering about recession. They're wondering about what they should do with their investments because of this so-called recession that could be potentially coming. Hopefully that helps you out. Hopefully it helps a lot of people think about the strategic approach to their investments versus the emotional approach. Okay, moving on. Speaking of emotions, that's Harvey's question and question number 2 here. Harvey says, part of me really wants to retire, but I've gotten pretty used to having that paycheck coming in for the last 40 years, and I can't imagine not having one, even though I have savings. How do people get comfortable with the idea of not having money coming into their checking account each and every month? Harvey, just like Bruce in question number 1, you are not alone. Not alone. I'll tell you what, that is a very true fear of not having your company paycheck coming in any longer. And I can tell you it's a fear of those that have $500,000 saved up, $1 million saved up, $3 million saved up. It's a fear of just not having that company paycheck coming in. And part of that, Harvey, is change. Now, I want you to think about when you started your job, or maybe you changed and took a new job. I'm certain you were wondering, how is it going to work out? Is it going to work out? And it probably took you time to get used to that new job. Or think about any other types of change in your life. Maybe it was when you had your first child, or maybe it was when you got married, or maybe, just think about a time when you had major change in your life, right? It's called change. Change can make us nervous. Change can bring anxiety for some people. Change can bring fear for some people. So how do we help ourselves adapt to this change of no longer having that company paycheck coming in? Well, first and foremost, I'd recommend having a plan, having an income plan in place, understanding all of your future sources of income, what's going to be coming in, like Social Security, pension. You've got your retirement savings, so you'll be able to take from your retirement savings. The income plan is understanding all of those sources that are coming in and when you're going to turn them on. When are you going to start your Social Security? When are you going to start your pension? When are you going to start taking from your retirement savings? How much? At what times? Comparing that, or not comparing it, but also understanding how much is going out. Retirement is all about cash flow. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. That's what your retirement's all about. And so understanding what's going to go out, your lifestyle expenses. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe don't forget about Medicare. Don't forget about taxes. Don't forget about inflation. And if you put all of this together in advance, and then you see that it all works out based on what you've saved up, well, first and foremost, that's going to help build your confidence in taking the next steps. Then the other part, this is what we do for our clients, is we also help put together what we call as income guardrails. Understanding, helping them maximize the money that they can take out of their retirement accounts, but understanding that the markets go up and down. And so here's what our goal is, right? Our goal is that we don't want our clients worried about running out of money, but we also don't want to leave a mattress full of money behind. So we put these guardrails in place, understanding that if the market goes down, the account value hits a certain level, we don't have to shut off the faucet. We're not just turning everything off. We're just understanding where we might need to make certain adjustments. Then the same thing on the way up, right? As I mentioned, you don't want to leave a mattress full of money behind. Well, then when the market goes up and you hit certain guardrails, then you know when to make adjustments, meaning knowing that you can take more money out of your portfolio. I would say flexibility and adaptability is a key part of going into that next step, is the key part of switching from having that company paycheck coming in to going to now cutting your own retirement paychecks from your retirement accounts. The other thing that I would highly recommend, and this is something that I've found that really helps our clients out as well, is that you want to set up your retirement paychecks, the funds coming from your retirement savings, just like your company paychecks. For example, a lot of our clients, we set up monthly distributions. So on the 1st of the month, the 15th of the month, or any date that they so choose, we're setting up distributions going from their investment accounts over to their checking account. For them, it feels just like getting that company paycheck again. And the mind says, oh, there's the money, there's the money, there's the money coming in, just like a company paycheck would have. We have one client that they were getting paid every couple weeks. Switching to a monthly thing just was really tough for them. And so we actually set it up for them that they just still get paid every couple weeks, just like their company paycheck. It made them feel like that company paycheck was still coming in. Now, let's just say you might be doing some tax strategies. For instance, we've got one client where they actually got this, we'll just say, lump sum of money, and that went immediately into their savings account. Here's why: because we're trying to keep their income low for a couple years. Well, since they're not getting the retirement paychecks from the retirement accounts, what we did to help them, again, feel like a company paycheck's coming in, what we did is we had them shift that money over to an online savings account. And then guess what? Just like a company paycheck, they set it up to automatically transfer a specific amount from the online savings account to their checking account each and every month. So now they've got this mindset going again, like they've got a company paycheck coming in, although it's just their retirement paycheck. And they'll do this for a couple years while we're implementing some tax strategies to help reduce their long-term taxes throughout their retirement. But it's just that automation. That automation's really going to help them. Even though we're not cutting those retirement paychecks yet, I still recommend people, if you're going to live off your savings for a couple years, you want to set up some automatic transfers to help you manage your savings and also feel like you've got that income coming in from your retirement savings. So Harvey, to wrap up on your question here, change is tough. You're not alone. This is a true fear. That day that company paycheck no longer comes in, that fear, we can help you overcome that fear by having a plan in place, by setting up monthly distributions so you feel like that company paycheck or that automatic income is still coming in. But the other thing just to understand, Harvey, is that it takes time. I tell everybody that we're working with, it just takes time. And we might set up a number, right? Have an amount coming out, month 1, month 2, month 3, and you might realize that you need to make some adjustments to that amount. And maybe it needs to go up. Maybe it needs to go down. Maybe you need it coming out more often. And so it takes time. Don't be scared to make those adjustments as you go. Now, Harvey, this is a great question. If you're wondering how to put a plan in place, what an income plan is, what your income guardrails would look like, or anyone out there listening that has the similar questions and feelings as Harvey does, we're here to help people out just like you. You can go to lifemoneyshow.com, click on the Work With Me tab, and we just set up a 15-minute phone call to understand what you are looking for help with, determine if there's a potential fit. If so, we'll talk about the next steps in our process to look at opportunities in your situation, discuss potential pitfalls in your situation, do the income analysis as well as tax analysis. And if we're not a good potential fit, then we're also going to take the time to help point you in the right direction. Again, you can go to lifemoneyshow.com, click on the Work With Me tab, and we can see if there's a fit to help you out in your retirement planning and overcome these fears, just like Harvey here has in his question. Okay, question number 3. Let's wrap up with what we've got from Ellis here. Ellis says, I'm 60 years old, and I'd love to retire right now. I know I don't have enough money to last the rest of my life, but I should get a sizable inheritance from my mom whenever she passes. She's in her early 90s, so I don't expect her to be around that much longer. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just waiting for her to die, because that's not the case at all. But do you feel or think I'm safe to go ahead and retire with the expectations of getting money from her in the next, let's say, 5 years? Well, Ellis, let me give you my thoughts here. May or may not like them, but I'm just going to give you kind of my thoughts here. First off, I'm more of a person who says plan for the worst to live the best. And a lot of what you're telling me here can be very subjective, and there could be a lot of what ifs in what you're saying here. So first off, what can be very subjective? When you say sizable inheritance, unfortunately, I don't have numbers on that. So if it's $10 million and you're living on a $50,000 a year lifestyle, well, heck, you would be fine in that case if all $10 million would come over to you, correct? But if it's just enough money that would just barely help you live your lifestyle, well, then I think you really need to think about the what ifs. And here's some of those what ifs. What if your mother, because of technology, because of good health, what if she lives another 10 years? You were planning to get this money in 5 years or less. Does what you have will help you stretch out that 10 years, let's say? And in those 10 years, she's going to continue to use some of this money to live her life. And so based on what she's using based on what you have and would use in, say, that 5 years, do you have enough to span that gap? The other thing is what if your mother needs long-term care support? What if, unfortunately, she's, diagnosed with dementia, and she lives in a long-term care facility, a nursing home for, let's say, 10 years. At 10 years, that could be $100,000 a year in nursing home bills. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, that's kind of a plan for the worst scenario. But Alice, you really have to think about that, because one thing that you need to kind of go through here, you said you're 60 years old, is let's just say this doesn't work out, right? Your mother lives another 10 years. She is in that nursing home for 10 years and paying somewhere around $100,000 a year in nursing home bills. And that depletes a huge amount of what she's worked so hard to save up. At age 70, if this doesn't work out, are you going to be comfortable going back to work, working part-time, doing what you need to do if for some reason this doesn't work out? So the other part is, have you thought about taxes? So if you're pulling all of this like really, really close, and your mother has an IRA or a 401k or any tax-deferred account that you're going to inherit, just remember, you're not going to get all of that money. You have to think about taxes. And so you're going to have, when you take money out of those types of inherited accounts, you will have to pay income taxes on all the money that you take out. So as I had mentioned, I would go through a plan, right? So utilize somebody to go through and build a plan to say, okay, does all of this still work out if some of these worst case what if scenarios were to happen? And at that point, all of it still works out, even with all of those what if scenarios, then maybe, yes, it's okay for you to go ahead and retire. But if you're pulling it close or you're not really sure, well, then maybe you want to just kind of, work a few more years. If you think that maybe you can just switch, though, from working full-time to part-time, maybe that's something that you want to do. Maybe you want to look for other types of employment opportunities right now as you're kind of going through this time period of will this or will this not work out. So hopefully that helps in regards to your questions. Like I said, it's probably helpful to know me. I'm more of a rather than risk it kind of guy. Say, hey, let's plan for things. Let's plan for what could happen. Let's plan for a lot of the what ifs. So that way you can hopefully then live your best life. Okay. Thanks for listening today. I hope that you found the answers to these questions to be of help. Maybe you found them to help your scenario. Maybe they'll make you think differently in regards to the news articles that you see out there about recession or markets potentially taking a tumble or something like that. So I hope they've helped you build confidence in yourself, confidence in continuing to contribute to your retirement, or helped you understand how you can build confidence as you make that transition from your company paycheck over to retirement. As I had mentioned at the beginning, we also have a YouTube channel with some great videos out there. 5 things to do when you're retiring within the next 5 years, how to potentially reduce your taxes if all of your money is in your IRAs and your 401ks, plus much, much more. So check out our YouTube channel. You can get to it at Sierens Financial Group. Go to YouTube, type in SIERENS Financial Group. And if you're there, you like the channel, hit the subscribe button. Folks, also, if you're enjoying the podcast, hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast player, as we're going to continue to come out with new podcasts, new videos each and every week to help you in your retirement. I look forward to our next conversation, helping you enjoy life today while being financially confident about your retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Sierens Financial Management, Inc. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Sierens Financial Management, Inc. are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.